Hey chillers, welcome back to my channel. So it's Tuesday, which means it's scary day. Alright, I can't wear this, it's too hot. That's gonna be my thumbnail, but it's really hot, so yeah, I took it off. Alright, so today, for Spooky Day, I am reading some scary stalker stories. So let's just jump right in. Number 1 is called The Ex-Boyfriend from Hell. High school boyfriend. I, senior, split up with him, junior. He was already controlling, judgmental, and abusive. I was moving on to college at the local university. He went crazy, lost his mind. He began by threatening messages about 200 a day, phone calls, showing up during classes, showing up at my house, broke into my car, and sat in the back seat. My best friend and I had gone to the movies, came out, and I was going to drop her off at home, and she noticed a huge mark on the passenger side of the car. Looked in the back seat, and there he was, laying on the floor trying to hide. Bought a new car with new plates. He broke into my dorm room, and I then left the dorms because I felt unsafe and moved to an apartment not far from the college campus. With 2 female roommates, he found out where I was living and broke in there too. While I was in the shower, told him to get out, and he came after me with a knife. Had to call the cops and lock myself in the bathroom. He was gone by the time the cops showed up. Was dating a newer guy who was an absolute gentleman, and I warned him about the ex. Ex crashes one of our dates and jumps new guy with 5 friends. I also end up with my face smashed in for being a cheating whore. I moved back into my parents' house. Ex-boyfriend attempted to break into my parents' house at 5 o'clock on a Sunday, so my entire family was home. Dad caught him and put a gun in his mouth. That was the end of it. Dad is 6'5", ex-military, and scary. Edit. Dad did not kill him, however I think that scared X enough. He has left me alone for 5 years now. I travel back home frequently, and when he sees me, he looks the other way. Dang. Your dad got involved. I'm glad your dad got involved, and he's leaving you alone. Number 2. Why aren't you online? This happened to me during my first year of university, October. I was living in the dorms and I need to give you a brief rundown of the dorms. You need a key card to gain access to your specific floor. So even though someone on the 3rd floor and 4th floor live in the same building, they can't access each other's floor. I had injured myself playing sports, so I was under orders to rest, which meant no Halloween parties for me. Pretty sad for a horror fiend like myself, but to try and make the time a happy one, I busied myself helping to make costumes for people and doing their makeup. Once I was finally finished, I packed up my makeup and decided to watch the movies in my room. A guy popped up and introduced himself. We chatted a bit and exchanged email addresses. And I walked back to my room, and I said goodnight. The first warning sign was that he walked into my room behind me, despite me saying I was going to walk into my room. I felt really awkward and tried to say in a roundabout way that he needed to leave, but he wasn't getting the hint. I finally had to say, "You need to leave my room now." I chalked this up to him being drunk or something, but I wondered how he got into my floor if he wasn't with anyone partying. Before I went to bed, I checked my email, and there were 5 from Creep. The first being, "Hey, I'm so glad we're friends," and the rest were asking why I wasn't online. A few days later, I got a knock on my door when I was studying, and it was him. I explained that I was studying and needed privacy. He tried to walk into my room again, but I braced my arm on the doorframe and said firmly that I needed to study. The next day, he was at my door again, and the next. I began pretending that I was not home. Another day, there was a knock at the door, and when I checked the people, there was no one there, and I assumed the postman had come. I opened the door, and lo and behold, it was the creepy guy. He has begun hiding from the people, so I'd be more likely to answer the door. I told my roommate never to open the door if he was there, and I told the people living on my floor that this guy was beginning to creep me out. So if he wanted to get onto the floor, whatever sob story he gave them, don't let him on. A few days later, I was on the bus coming home, and I got a text from someone who lived on my floor telling me not to come home because Creep was on my floor and was sitting in front of my door just waiting. I went to a friend's house and spent the night, and when I got home, I was told he waited for 4 hours before leaving. At this point, I was getting freaked out. A few days after that, he began waiting outside the building, and if I left, he would follow me wherever I went. I was too spineless to tell him to go away, and I tried to be more passive about it. I never spoke, and never gave any indication I was paying attention, but he followed me to class, the cafeteria, and always tried to follow me home and get access to the floor. I went to the resident advisor, an older student that sort of watches over the floor, and told her what happened. She spoke to the RA for his floor and was told that Creep had been telling his own RA that we were best friends and dating. My RA tried to explain that I was uncomfortable, but the other RA believed him, and that was that. Thankfully, one thing did deter him. He would never approach me if I was with a group of people, so my floor mates banded together. If I went to dinner, I went with my floor, and if I wanted a drink or seconds, someone had to come with me. Walking to class and even waiting for the bus was done in a group. He got onto my floor once when someone else was coming home, and he forced his foot in the door to let himself in. I was hidden in another room, and when he left my door to go and sit in the TV lounge to wait for me, I went downstairs and ran around to the other side of the building and got into my room before he noticed. Then the phone calls began. I never gave him my number, but he somehow obtained my mobile and room phone, and at first it would be 1 to 2 phone calls a day, until I told him I wanted him to leave me alone. Then the calls began coming in every hour with him begging and pleading for me to talk to him. Without caller ID, I needed to answer the phone because of school and my part-time job. At this point, it was November, and I was a wreck. I was tired of having to plan out doing simple things, like going for food or walking to a bus stop. Stress wasn't helping me recover from my injury, and I was losing weight, and I just looked sickly. I went back to the RA and begged her to help me. She went to the head of the dorms and explained everything that happened. I explained how far this had gone, and my roommate told them that he had followed her a few times, demanding that she tell him where I was. I felt awful. She never told me this because she was afraid of upsetting me further, and I felt like I was a hole for putting her through this garbage. I don't know what went on behind closed doors, but from what I guess, he was told to leave me alone, and any further contact would result in him being kicked out of the dorms. There was one email where he went insane on me, telling me how awful I was. How could I do this to him? We were so happy together. Surely I was cheating on him with other men. After that, nothing. At first, when I'd see him around campus, I would run to the women's toilets to hide. I'd see him around town or on campus, and he'd always just stare at me. Never try to approach me, never tried to get my attention. Just staring. I used to walk by and try to pretend I didn't notice him staring, and I'd try and act like my heart wasn't pounding. Well, it's a good thing they finally did something about it. And the last one, the subway stalker. A little backstory. I'm a 20-year-old, short, petite female working at a Subway, and I can't help but be nice to anyone, even if they creep me out. I feel bad usually. About a year ago, we had this guy, 35 to 40 years old, who would come in every day for lunch. He was fascinated by my stretched ears and a few piercings I had on my face, and always asked questions. He would sit down after I rang him out and watch me from his table for 2 hours non-stop, just staring at me while I helped other customers. This goes on for about 2 weeks, and every day he would ask for my number, saying he has plugs and tunnels he wants to give me and see me wearing them in my ears, and I always politely decline. One day, I am alone in the store because my manager had to run to the bank. We were really slow that day, so I just went in the back room messing around on my phone. I heard the door chime, looked up, and yet no one was there. Then I saw the man walk past the front of the store really quickly, like he was in a hurry. The store phone rings. Thanks for calling Subway, how can I help you? This is the girl with the nice ears, right? Yes. Who is this? Are you alone in the back room right now? Are you working by yourself? That's creepy. At this point, I really got creeped out and knew it was him. I hung up and texted my manager the situation so she would hurry back. He called again, this time asking me very weird questions, like what I would do with him in a room with the door locked, if I had a boyfriend, why I was playing hard to get, etc. My manager gets back and I tell her everything. In the middle of the lunch rush, he calls again. This time, Come on, tongue, cooperate. This time my manager answers, and to this day she's never told me what he said, but the look on her face made my spine shiver. She told him that if he called again or showed up here, she would call the police. I thought that was the end of it, but alas, I was wrong. 1 week later, I'm clocking out and getting ready to walk to my parked car in the front, and when I looked outside, I see him standing by my car and look inside of it. I was an idiot and left the back door unlocked. I watched him crawl inside and shut the door. The creep was trying to hide in my back seat and do God knows what to me when I got in. My manager locked the front door of our store, and called the police. When they arrived, they had to pretty much drag him out of my car, and he was arrested. On him was a butcher knife, rope, and a rag with chloroform on it. If I hadn't looked up when I did, I probably would be dead right now. Well, there you guys go. That was some stalker stories I found online. Yeah, those were really creepy, especially that last one. Like, why was he so obsessed with her ears? But anyway, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up so I know. Please follow all my social media down below in the description. And please hit my bubble to subscribe to my channel. And I will see you guys on Thursday. Peace out, chillers.